Hi, my name's Brandy Friend, and I want to make this video to tell you a little bit about myself and where I came from and where I'm at now. I teach people who are disabled or who just can't work anymore how to make an income from home to be able to support themselves a little better. And I wasn't able to fully do that, or be able to talk to people or let anybody really close to me until I met Brian. Now, Brian began helping me after I met him at the Hush event last year. I was in his classroom and I seen somebody have a breakthrough right in front of me within the first 45 minutes that we were there, and I thought, no way. I've seen 18 psychiatrists and 36 counselors in my life, and no way. He's not going to come in and just do that just like that, but he did. And I went through a very extremely dysfunctional, abusive time in my childhood. I watched my mother get beat, stomped really in the head and the ribs, and nightly. When you live with an alcoholic, you never know what the outbursts are going to be, when or why, what's going to bring it on. So eventually my abuse went into a sexual direction. And then when I didn't do the right things or say the right things, or I didn't spend the adequate amount of time that my father thought I should, or I wanted to go out and play or something different, he would rip the heads off of my kittens and hand it to me and tell me that that was my fault. I would hear gunshots go off, and I never knew if it was going to be my mother, my brothers, my animals. I come running home one day only to find my puppy that I had rescued in two pieces, trying to crawl away with no bottom half. And he made my older brother go ahead and shoot the puppy and put it out of its misery. Well, that's what I got because I chose to go out and play instead of staying in. So when I tell you I've been through some things, and with each psychiatrist that I have spoken with, I started seeing psychiatrists when I was 15, and you just have to tell your story over and over and over and over again. Each time one can't take care of you, or one can't figure out what's wrong, or one doesn't know how to diagnose, by textbook, because that's they're supposed to read these books, and it's supposed to tell you how someone's thinking and feeling and what you're supposed to say to them, and that's a crock. I sat there and I told my story 18 times to 18 different psychiatrists. And at the end, it's like filing your fingernails and saying, this is what happened, and they think that you're emotionless. And that's not what it is. You've told it so many times to so many people who didn't really care. They just wanted to put you on a medication and get you out of there. That is, why? Why even try? Why even give emotion? Why sit there and cry anymore? Because it's not going to do any good. They're just going to call you crazy or bipolar, or multiple personalities, which of course I have multiple personalities. Who wouldn't? You don't sit there and watch your mother be beaten nightly and then told that he's going to kill her if you tell anybody he's going to kill her, that you don't, and then make you watch. You can't not develop multiple personalities to deal with things like that. So after being told that I was bipolar, I had multiple personalities, I had borderline personalities, just all these things came with different prescriptions. So a different diagnosis, a different psychiatrist would come with different prescriptions. And I got so tired of it that I just quit even seeking any help. I was in what they call a pavilion in Amarillo, Texas, pretty much every year. And what that is a psychiatric ward. And it's for people who try to commit suicide, or if they think that that's where you need to be because you don't take your medications, or you're depressed. I mean, of course I was depressed. I was depressed my whole life. I shut people out. I didn't want to be around anybody. I didn't trust people. Why would I? The people that I loved and that I trust, look what they did to me. Why would I trust strangers? So I met Brian in California last year, and I have to tell you, even though I seen the guy have the breakthrough, I laughed. It can't be that easy. I went through years and years and years of trying to get help, and then this guy just walks out of nowhere. A few months after that, a friend of mine was having a webinar. He had Brian on as a speaker that night, and out of the hundreds of people that was on that hangout that night, they chose someone to come on and to have a break, so that Brian could try and help them have a breakthrough. Well, out of miles and miles away, and feelings, and because Brian does that, he's able to see what you're going through. I didn't have to tell Brian my story. He already knew. He already knew the abuse. He already knew, the physical, the demonic abuse. He already knew the sexual abuse. He already knew all that. He knew that just by getting in front of me, by talking to me, by, connecting with me. He knew that. And so I didn't have to sit down and tell him my story. And, nor did I want to, because when you scratch scabs, they bleed. And it hurts. And I didn't want to open that up again. I didn't want to open all that up again. But without having to talk to Brian, he already knew. And I was the one that came on that night, and I had a breakthrough. He helped me get out from underneath the prison that I had put myself in. That prison where you're locked. It's, that big padlock that nobody can get through. And you live with the pain, and you live with the memories, and you live with the scars, and you live with the pictures of things that happened, and the flashbacks. And I wake up screaming because I feel like I've got a headless cat laying on me, or years and years and years, and my mother died last year, and I believe that it had to do, or 2 years ago, and I believe that it had to do with all the beatings that she received. And, we left, and he'd just bring us back. So how could Brian help me, someone like me, to get out from underneath something like that? It sounds impossible, right? But he did. He did. There is no padlock. There is no cage. And I live in a different world than I did before I met Brian. I don't live locked up in that pain and those memories anymore. I now have an online business. I have an animal rescue, where in my world here, I have control over what happens to them, and if I can get them here, nobody can hurt them. Asking for help with that was hard, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't from working with Brian. So if someone like me can find that kind of help and have those kind of breakthroughs and those kind of miracles, think what he could do for you. Your business, your life, your marriage, all that hate that you have buried, all those things that happened to you when you were little or as an adult. Wouldn't you like to get rid of all that? It's possible. It's very possible. I know that because Brian did that for me. And I hope with all my heart that if you're listening to this and you're going through any of those things, that you understand that if there's anybody out there that can do that for you, it's going to be Brian. Give him a chance. You owe that to yourself. Thank you for listening.